Captain Gray stood at the command center of his warship, the stellar dominance, watching the blue-green planet grow larger on the main screen. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the primitive satellites orbiting the world. The planet's inhabitants called it Earth, and from what he could tell, they hadn't even achieved reliable space travel beyond their own moon. Another primitive species, he muttered, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic basic for his crew's benefit. Mark it down as point of contact 2847. Lieutenant Reed, his sensor operator, suddenly straightened in his chair. Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the planet's surface. They appear to be actively scanning us. Gray's upper eyes narrowed while his lower ones widened, a sign of mild surprise among his people. These humans shouldn't have been able to detect their ship through its stealth field. Perhaps they weren't as primitive as initial scans suggested. Incoming transmission, Reed announced. They're using radio waves? How quaint. Put it through, Gray ordered, straightening his ceremonial cape. First contact was always a delicate matter, even with primitive species. The Dominators had protocols for everything. A human face appeared on the screen. The creature had only 2 eyes and far too much hair on its head, but it wore what was clearly a military uniform. Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Stone of Earth's United Defense Force. You have entered restricted space. Please identify yourself. Gray clicked his mandibles together in amusement. The human's primitive translator managed to convert his response. I am Captain Gray of the Dominator Empire. We are conducting a standard expansion survey of this sector. The human's expression didn't change. This sector is sovereign territory of Earth and its allies. We request that you withdraw to a distance of at least 1 light hour and await diplomatic contact. Gray's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Allies? Their scans showed no evidence of alien technology on or around Earth. These humans were clearly trying to bluff their way into a stronger negotiating position. How entertaining. Perhaps we could meet to discuss terms, Gray suggested, following the standard protocol for first contact with pre-spaceflight civilizations. Our empire has much to offer developing worlds. Admiral Stone's reply was immediate. Negative. Please withdraw as requested. This is your final warning. Gray turned to his second-in-command. Are they serious? Their most advanced weapons are crude nuclear devices. They couldn't even scratch our shields. The human admiral was still waiting for a response. Gray decided to be direct. Admiral Stone, let me be clear. Your world has been selected for integration into the Dominator Empire. This is a great honor. Resistance would be unfortunate. Stone's face remained neutral, but Gray's enhanced vision caught a slight twitch at the corner of the human's mouth. Was that amusement? Captain Gray, Stone replied. I suggest you check your history books. Humanity doesn't respond well to ultimatums. The transmission cut off. Gray stared at the blank screen, then burst out laughing. They think they can resist. The arrogance. Reed, send a message to High Command. Tell them we found an ideal candidate for immediate integration. Sir, Reed called out, I'm detecting multiple launches from the planet's surface. Probably those primitive nuclear missiles they're so proud of, Gray said dismissively. Raise shields and prepare the integration fleet announcement. Let's show them what real power looks like. As Gray watched the first wave of human missiles approach on the tactical display, he felt almost sorry for them. Their civilization would make an excellent addition to the Empire once they learned their place. He had no way of knowing that this routine first contact was about to become the most embarrassing moment in Dominator military history, or that his name would go down in the records as the captain who discovered why challenging humanity was a terrible, terrible mistake. All he knew, as he prepared to give the integration speech he'd delivered hundreds of times before, was that this should be a quick and easy conquest. He was wrong. Very, very wrong. Captain Gray watched in confusion as the human ships scattered like startled birds across his tactical display. This wasn't how space battles were supposed to work. Everyone knew that ships should form neat battle lines and engage in ordered sequences. "Sir," Lieutenant Reed called from his station, "the human vessels aren't following any known combat formation. Our battle computers can't predict their movement patterns." Gray's 4 eyes narrowed in annoyance. "Impossible. Every species fights in formations. It's basic military doctrine." He gestured at the display with one of his upper limbs. "Look at them. They're just flying around randomly." The human ships darted about in what seemed like complete chaos. Some spun in spirals, others performed loops, and a few appeared to be drawing shapes in their flight paths. It was like watching a swarm of insects that had consumed too much sugar. "Launch the first wave of fighters," Gray ordered. "Show these primitives how proper space combat works." 500 Dominator fighter craft streamed out of the carrier ships. They formed perfect attack diamonds, their pilots coordinating with practiced precision. This was how battles were meant to be fought, with order, discipline, and symmetry. The fighters closed in on the nearest human vessel, their weapons charged and ready. But just before they came into firing range, the human ship released what looked like a cloud of glitter into space. "What in the name of the High Command is that?" Gray demanded. Reed studied his sensor readings. "Sir, they appear to be millions of tiny metal fragments. They're creating interference with our targeting systems." The fighters' perfect formation broke apart as they tried to avoid the cloud of shimmering metal. 2 of them collided, their pilots too dependent on computer guidance to handle manual control effectively. "Sir," Reed's voice rose in pitch. 3 more human ships approaching from Sector 7. Gray turned to watch as the new vessels emerged from behind Earth's moon. They were moving in a pattern that resembled a child's drawing of a flower. His tactical officer, Jones, made a sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. "Something amusing, Officer Jones?" Gray asked coldly. "No, sir," Jones replied quickly. "It's just, they appear to be drawing a smiley face with their flight pattern now." Gray's upper eyes twitched. "Focus on the battle. Launch waves 2 and 3. Surround their fleet with superior numbers. Let's see them draw pictures when they're surrounded by 3,000 fighters." The space around Earth soon filled with Dominator fighters, all moving in textbook attack patterns. The human ships continued their bizarre maneuvers, releasing more clouds of reflective material, and what appeared to be some kind of bubbling foam that hardened in the vacuum of space. "Sir," Reed reported, "our fighters are reporting difficulty maintaining formation. The humans' chaotic flight patterns are forcing them to break ranks to avoid collisions." Gray watched in growing horror as his perfect battle plan dissolved into confusion. The humans weren't fighting fair. They weren't following any of the proper rules of engagement. "Direct hit on Fighter Squadron 7. Reed announced. They got tangled in some kind of space net. It appears to be made of fishing line." "Impossible." Gray slammed his upper limb on his command chair. "No one uses primitive materials like that in space combat. Where are their energy weapons? Their plasma torpedoes? Their quantum disruptors?" "The humans are launching another wave of ships," Jones reported. "And, sir, you're not going to believe what our sensors are detecting inside their cargo bays." Gray felt a sense of dread creep over him. What could possibly be worse than space nets and glitter? The tactical display zoomed in on the approaching human fleet. Gray's 4 eyes widened in disbelief as he saw what they were carrying. "No," he whispered, "they wouldn't dare. But they would. And they did." And that was how the most embarrassing chapter in Dominator military history began, with a cargo bay full of rubber ducks. "Sir, the humans are opening their cargo bay doors," Lieutenant Reed reported, his voice trembling slightly. "The objects are being released. Now." Captain Gray and his bridge crew watched in stunned silence as millions of bright yellow objects poured out of the human ships. They tumbled through space like a river of sunshine, spreading out in all directions. "Magnification times 100, Gray ordered, his 4 eyes struggling to make sense of what he was seeing. The screen zoomed in, and there it was, a small yellow object with a rounded head, a flat bottom, and what appeared to be a beak. "It's a bath toy," Jones said in disbelief. "They're attacking us with rubber ducks." The bridge erupted in laughter. Even Gray couldn't help clicking his mandibles in amusement. "They've lost their minds. Record this for the High Command. They'll need a good laugh after we conquer this ridiculous species." Then the first rubber duck hit their shields. No one noticed anything at first. It was just one small toy bouncing off their advanced energy barriers. But then came another, and millions more, each one carrying a tiny electromagnetic pulse generator. "Sir," Reed's laughter turned to panic. "Our sensors are going dark. The ducks, they're creating some kind of interference field." Gray's amusement vanished. "What? That's impossible. They're toys." "Toys coated with radar-absorbing material," Jones reported, frantically checking readings. "And each one is emitting a different frequency of electromagnetic noise. Our targeting systems can't filter out the interference." Through the view screen, Gray watched as his perfectly organized fighter squadrons began to lose formation. Without reliable sensor data, they couldn't maintain their precise positions. The space around his fleet was now filled with a cloud of gently rotating yellow ducks, each one contributing to the chaos. "Enemy ships approaching," Reed shouted. I can't be sure because of the interference, but EVA a human vessel burst through the cloud of rubber ducks, much closer than any enemy should have been able to get. It launched what looked like oversized tennis balls toward the nearest Dominator fighter squadron. "Are they seriously attacking us with more toys?" Gray demanded. The tennis balls exploded, releasing clouds of silly string. The sticky substance spread out in the zero gravity, creating a tangled web that caught 3 fighters at once. "This isn't warfare," Gray shouted, his dignified command presence finally cracking. This is. I don't even know what this is." "Sir," Jones reported, "the rubber ducks are starting to cluster around our main sensor arrays. They're squeaking." Indeed, the rubber ducks had been designed to squeak in vacuum, creating vibrations that resonated with the crystalline structures of the Dominator's most sensitive scanning equipment. The high-pitched sound wasn't just annoying. It was scrambling their entire detection grid. "Get us out of this cloud," Gray ordered. "Full power to engines." "We can't, sir. Navigation is compromised." "The ducks are." Jones swallowed hard. "The ducks are everywhere." Through the chaos, Gray spotted a human ship approaching. It was broadcasting on an open channel. Admiral Stone's face appeared on screen, wearing what humans called a poker face. "Having some trouble with our defensive screen, Captain Gray," Stone asked politely. "This is not proper warfare." Gray's voice rose to a screech. "You can't fight with children's toys." "Oh." Stone raised an eyebrow. "I don't remember reading that rule in any galactic warfare manual. But if you prefer," he smiled, "we do have some water balloons prepared for the next wave." Gray's translator struggled to process what Stone had just said. Water balloons. Released from high orbit, they freeze instantly. Makes for some lovely ice crystals. "Would you like a demonstration?" As Gray watched more human ships approach through his now useless tactical display, he realized that everything he knew about warfare was about to change forever. And somewhere in the distance, 1,000,000 rubber ducks squeaked in perfect harmony. The Stellar Dominance's bridge had descended into chaos. Warning lights flashed everywhere as more and more systems reported failures. Captain Gray watched helplessly as his mighty warship, pride of the Dominator fleet, was effectively blinded by bath toys. "Status report," he demanded, trying to maintain some sense of control. Lieutenant Reed's fingers danced across his console. "Sir, the rubber ducks have created complete sensor blindness in sectors 2 through 7. We're detecting." "Wait, no. We're not detecting anything because we can't detect anything." "What about visual tracking?" Gray's upper eyes twitched rapidly while his lower ones scanned the view screen. "The ducks are reflecting light in random patterns, Jones reported. Our targeting computers can't distinguish between duck reflections and actual ships. And, sir, the humans are using this to their advantage. As if to prove his point, 3 human ships suddenly burst through a cloud of rubber ducks, fired what appeared to be giant bubble guns, actual bubble guns, and disappeared again into another duck cloud before the Dominators could react. The bubbles are filled with some kind of sensor-jamming gas, Reed announced. They're making our blind spots even worse. Gray slumped in his command chair. How? How are they doing this? Their technology is primitive. They shouldn't even be able to reach our ships, let alone confuse our sensors. Sir, Jones said quietly, I think I understand their strategy now. Enlighten me, Gray growled, watching another squadron of his fighters get tangled in what appeared to be a giant cat's cradle string game stretched between asteroids. Our technology is based on detecting energy signatures, radiation, heat, and standard warfare emissions, Jones explained. But these toys don't emit anything our systems are designed to track. They're too simple, too basic. It's like trying to use a quantum computer to detect a rubber ball. It's looking for complexity that isn't there. That's brilliant, Reed whispered, earning a sharp look from Gray. I mean, it's primitive and barbaric, sir, but it works because it's primitive and barbaric. A new alert sounded. Gray didn't even want to know what it was, but he asked anyway. Now what? The ducks are clustering, Reed reported. They're forming shapes. Our computer is trying to analyze them as potential threat formations, but the view screen showed thousands of rubber ducks arranging themselves into what appeared to be a giant smiley face. They're mocking us, Gray said flatly. No, sir, look. Jones pointed at his tactical display. While we were distracted by the smiley face, 3 human ships slipped past our port defenses. They're using the duck formations as a psychological weapon, Gray finished, finally understanding. The ducks aren't just blocking our sensors. They're making us look where the humans want us to look. A transmission cut through their communications system. Admiral Stone's face appeared again, still wearing that infuriatingly calm expression. Having fun with our defensive screen, Captain? Stone asked. I should mention, the ducks have one more feature you haven't seen yet. Gray felt his stomach drop. What feature? They're pressure sensitive, Stone said with a small smile. When shot or crushed, they release their special payload. As if on cue, a Dominator fighter accidentally rammed through a cluster of ducks. The yellow toys burst, releasing clouds of glitter, sparkly, shimmering, sensor-confusing glitter. That's not so bad, Gray said, almost relieved. Oh, the glitter is just for fun, Stone replied. The real payload is the liquid nitrogen. Turns into lovely ice crystals in space. Perfect for hiding in. Gray watched in horror as the frozen clouds expanded, creating even more sensor-blocking coverage for the human ships to exploit. Would you like to surrender now? Stone asked politely. Or should we release the rubber chickens next? Enough, Captain Gray shouted, pounding his command chair with both upper limbs. We are the Dominator Empire. We will not be defeated by bath toys. His bridge crew had gathered for an emergency strategy session, while outside their mighty warship, clouds of rubber ducks continued to multiply. The yellow menace had now spread across half the battle space, twinkling innocently in the sunlight. Sir, I think I have a solution, Lieutenant Reed said, pulling up a diagram on the main screen. We can modify our sensors to ignore small, duck-shaped objects. The computer will treat them as background noise. Gray's 4 eyes lit up. Perfect. Make it happen. The bridge crew worked frantically, reprogramming their advanced alien sensors. After 20 minutes, Reed announced triumphantly, "Modifications complete, sir. The ducks are now invisible to our systems. Excellent. Now we can finally fight properly." Gray straightened in his chair. "Launch our remaining fighter squadrons. Show these humans what real space combat looks like. The Dominator fighters streamed out of their hangars, their sensors now completely ignoring the rubber ducks. At first, everything seemed to work perfectly. Then the ducks started quacking. "Sir," Jones reported in disbelief, "the ducks are producing sound waves that match our ship's resonant frequencies. They're vibrating our hulls." "That's impossible," Gray snapped. "Sound doesn't travel in space." "The ducks are making physical contact with our ships," Reed explained. "They're using their little rubber beaks to transmit vibrations directly to our hulls. And, oh no." "What now?" Gray demanded. "The vibrations are interfering with our new sensor modifications. The system is trying to ignore the ducks, but the vibrations are causing ghost readings. We're getting multiple false targets." On the tactical display, hundreds of phantom ships appeared and disappeared as the duck-generated vibrations confused their sensors. The real human ships were hidden somewhere among the false readings, impossible to distinguish. "Launch the space nets," Gray ordered. "If we can't target them, we'll catch them." Massive energy nets deployed from the Dominator ships, designed to trap and disable enemy vessels. But as the nets spread out, something unexpected happened. "Sir," Jones said, trying to keep his voice steady, "the humans are hurting the ducks." "Hurting them?" "Yes, sir. They're using their ship's energy wakes to push the ducks into our nets. The nets are getting clogged." Gray watched in horror as thousands of rubber ducks became tangled in their expensive energy nets, their little faces seeming to smile mockingly at him. Worse, the trapped ducks were still quacking, sending confusing vibrations through the nets themselves. "Captain," Reed called out, "Admiral Stone is hailing us again." What could he possibly want now? Gray growled. Stone's face appeared on screen, and this time he was actually smiling. "I see you've tried to adapt your sensors, Captain. Clever, but you might want to recall your fighters." "Why?" Gray asked suspiciously. "Because the ducks in this next wave are filled with paint. Non-toxic, of course. We're not monsters. But I don't imagine your crew will enjoy flying hot pink ships back to your empire." As if on cue, several ducks collided with a nearby fighter. They burst open, covering the ship in bright pink paint that quickly froze in the vacuum of space. "You?" Gray's translator struggled to convey his mixture of rage and disbelief. "You are violating every rule of proper warfare." "Rules?" Stone raised an eyebrow. "I don't remember agreeing to any rules. We're simply using locally sourced, environmentally friendly weapons to defend our planet. Would you prefer we use something more destructive?" Gray watched as more of his fighters turned various shades of pink, purple, and neon green. The worst part, the paint was glittery. Captain Gray stood on his bridge, watching his once mighty fleet fall apart. Half his fighters were now painted in colors that would make a rainbow feel dull. The other half were trapped in nets clogged with squeaking rubber ducks, and his flagship, the pride of the Dominator Empire, was surrounded by clouds of frozen glitter. "Sir," Lieutenant Reed said quietly, "we're receiving damage reports from all ships. The duck-generated vibrations are, well, just tell me," Gray said, all four eyes closed in resignation. "They're shaking our ships apart, sir, slowly but surely. The constant quacking is causing metal fatigue in our hull plates, and the frozen duck water is getting into our engine vents." Jones added from his station, "3 more ships are reporting their weapon systems are jammed with rubber chicken feathers." Gray's eyes snapped open. They actually did it. They actually launched the rubber chickens. "Yes, sir. And these ones." Jones swallowed hard. "These ones play music when they hit our hulls." As if to prove his point, a distant boom echoed through the ship, followed by the tinny sound of what humans called disco music playing through the hull. "What song is that?" Gray asked, against his better judgment. According to Earth broadcasts, Reed checked his console. "It's called Stayin' Alive." A new alert sounded, and Gray didn't even flinch. At this point, What else could possibly go wrong? Sir, Jones shouted. Massive object approaching from Sector 9. On the main screen, a huge shape emerged from behind Earth's moon. It was. Is that? Gray's translator crackled with disbelief. Is that a giant, inflatable rubber duck? Indeed it was. The humans had apparently launched a massive yellow inflatable duck, easily the size of a small moon. Its stupid smiling face beamed at them across space, while its giant orange beak opened and closed mechanically. Sir, Reed reported, the giant duck is... Oh no. What? Gray demanded. What could it possibly do that's worse than everything else? It's releasing millions of smaller rubber ducks, and they're all wearing tiny spacesuits with jetpacks. Gray watched as a swarm of jet-powered rubber ducks zoomed toward his fleet, their tiny space helmets glinting in the sunlight. Some were carrying what appeared to be water balloons. Others had small bottles labeled space bubbles, extra strength. Captain, Jones said, Admiral Stone is hailing us again. Gray didn't even wait for permission to be asked. Put him on screen. Let's hear what other ridiculous weapons he's going to throw at us. Stone appeared, and this time he wasn't trying to hide his grin. Having fun, Captain. I see you've met our flagship, the U.S. Ducky. Don't worry about the size. It's mostly inflatable. Very fuel efficient. Why? Gray asked, his voice barely a whisper. Why would you do this? You have normal weapons. We detected them. Why use these? Oh, those. Stone waved dismissively. Sure, we have regular weapons, but why destroy when you can confuse? Why kill when you can embarrass? And most importantly, his grin widened, why waste expensive ammunition when you can buy rubber ducks in bulk? At that moment, something in Captain Gray's mind snapped. Perhaps it was the sight of his mighty warship being swarmed by toy ducks in spacesuits. Maybe it was the disco music still playing through the hull. Or possibly it was just the realization that he would have to explain all of this to the High Command. Full retreat, he whispered. Sir, Reed asked. Fuel RETREAT, Gray screamed. Get us out of this system before they deploy whatever horror they're keeping in reserve. As the stellar dominants turned to flee, Admiral Stone called out one last time. Wait, you haven't even seen our secret weapon yet, the giant space-worthy whoopee cushion. Gray cut the transmission. 3 days after the retreat from Earth, Captain Gray sat in his quarters aboard the stellar dominants, staring at his computer screen. His once pristine ship was now covered in frozen glitter, pink paint, and stuck-on rubber ducks that refused to come off in neat rows of yellow that made the ship look like it had polka dots. He had to write his report to the High Command. But how could he explain this disaster? After deleting his 12th attempt, he began again. 2. High Command of the Dominator Empire. From Captain Gray, 1st Fleet Expansion Division. Subject: Humanity is using the stupidest weapon I've ever seen. True story. Esteemed leaders, I regret to inform you that our attempt to integrate Earth into the Empire has failed. The reasons for this failure are unusual. I request that you read this entire report before making any judgments about my sanity. The humans defeated our superior technology and tactical advantage using the following weapons. 1. Rubber ducks, approximately 47 million. 2. Space nets made from children's string games. 3. Glitter, multiple colors, mostly pink. 4. Bubbles, both regular and enhanced with sensor-jamming compounds. 5. Paint-filled projectiles, also glitter-enhanced. 6. Rubber chickens with musical capabilities. 7. 1. Giant inflatable rubber duck spacecraft. I understand how this list appears. I have attached sensor logs and video recordings to prove I am not suffering from space madness. The humans demonstrated that the most effective weapon against advanced technology is, apparently, the complete absence of advanced technology. Our sensors and combat systems were designed to detect and counter serious military threats. They were not, I repeat, not designed to handle millions of squeaking rubber toys. Engineering Report Summary: 43% of fleet suffering from duck-induced vibration damage. 27% of fighters painted in various neon colors. 15% of ships trapped in string game nets. 12% of sensors frozen by duck water crystals. 3% of crew requesting transfer due to disco trauma. Psychological impact: multiple crew members now fear bathtubs. Ship's computer refuses to say the word duck. 3 officers quack involuntarily when stressed. Recommendations for future encounters with humanity: 1. Do not attempt invasion. 2. Do not attempt intimidation. 3. Do not mention bath toys. 4. Avoid their system entirely. Additional notes: if you hear rumors about our flagship retreating from a giant rubber duck while staying alive played through the hull, I assure you these rumors are, unfortunately, accurate. Special request: please do not share this report with the Galactic Military Academy. I still have relatives studying there. Final assessment: Earth should be marked as approach with extreme caution in all star charts. Suggested warning notice: indigenous species demonstrates disturbing creativity and complete disregard for proper military conduct. Personal addendum: I hereby request reassignment to the Deep Space Mineral Survey Division, preferably in a sector far from Earth and any toy stores. Respectfully submitted, Captain Gray. P.S. If anyone needs me, I will be in my quarters attempting to remove glitter from my exoskeleton. Early estimates suggest this may take several solar cycles. Gray read over his report one final time. It was honest, accurate, and would probably end his career. But as he looked out his window at his once proud fleet, now resembling a child's birthday party gone wrong, he realized something important. He never wanted to see another rubber duck as long as he lived. Just as he was about to send the report, one last message came in from Earth. It was from Admiral Stone. Thanks for the fun. We've named our new planetary defense system Operation Bath Time. Hope you don't mind. We're keeping some of your ships as lawn ornaments. The glitter really brightens up our space stations. Gray deleted the message without replying and hit send on his report. Some defeats were better left in the past, preferably the very, very distant past.